and it clarified that we should split between the supplier of natural gas. The court stated that the supplier. Chair, I would take the report as read, and the frequently asked questions, as well as the publication of these frequently. Chair, we have sent the frequently asked questions for language editing.
The frequently asked questions to assist with the implementation. Mr. Mkhize, you may go ahead.
Thanks, Mr. Kotora and Chairperson, for the opportunity. I would just like to, just on page 11, it's Roman figure 5 actually. It's those tariff guidelines, because they are the 30th of March 2017. If these have not been updated, just to get clarity around that. And then on page 1, I can't see the green pages yet, but page 1 in the introduction, I think you need just to then talk to the 2023 methodology. I think the team, in as much as possible, look at making direct quotes so that you don't. It doesn't result in a situation where, for a person to really read the answers to the questions raised, he or she must set, as well as the regulations in front of the assist with that. And then the matters of, as you said, the matters of editing, etc., language, they are being dealt with. I won't talk to those, though I've picked some. The question regarding different methods of pricing, and then state that there are 2 of them, and that as to precede this one, rather than just to zoom straight to this. I think, yeah. Other than that, I don't have any further questions from my side.
Thank you, Mr. Mkhize. Mr. Kotora, some of the input is just for enhancement, but I think you can clarify 1 or 2 things for the benefit of the other members of the committee.
Thank you, Chair. I truly appreciate the enhancements, and we'll try and add the question on question 5 before that one. Before zooming straight into the question on two prices. Chair, also on the direct quotes that we should take from the Gas Act and from the...
Just hold on. You can also put footnotes for those, so that if it's going to, the person will just go straight to the footnote, so that you maintain the easy flow for understanding in certain areas. That's just the addition there to incorporate the comment from Mr. Mkhize. Let me take the question from Ms. Mpungose. Ms. Mpungose, please go ahead.
Thank you, Chairperson, and thank you to the team. I just have one comment, really, and to thank the team for the FAQs. Just one comment on 13.2. I think when they talk about this explanatory note, either in brackets, companies used, are we talking about the applicant companies? Those companies that have actually, companies are we referring to, so that at least it is clear, it is not open-ended. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Ms. Mpongose, for the enhancements. Mr. Kotora, you can respond to the other areas for clarification. Thank you.
I think the 2017 tariff guidelines are the latest. That's the last time we updated the tariff guidelines, Chair. I think, and from proxy companies there, and not just companies in the manner that we...
That was provided for purposes of ease of reference, and that the document will then be taken through language editing before the document. I'd like to take you to the recommendations. It is requested that the committee then approves the frequently asked questions. By show of members, if you then support the recommendations as contained, areas of enhancement. Thank you, Mr. Mkhize. Thank you, Mr. Gumede. Thank you, Advocate Stoll, as well as Ms. Mpongose. Thank you very much, members. I report focusing on the monitoring of Tetra 4's compliance with the approved maximum price of gas for the period 1 January 2022 up until December 2022. Please take the report as read and highlight the key areas of concern and what the members need to take into consideration before the decision.
Thank you, Chairperson. This is the report on monitoring Tetra 4 implementation of the maximum price of gas. It is monitoring compliance with Section 21(1)(p) and Section 22 of the Gas Act. Chairperson, Tetra 4 in the previous financial year was implementing the maximum price that was approved. Why Tetra 4 was implementing such a maximum price approved, believe that they are not required to be regulated under the Gas Act. And on those reasons, they then approached the court for an application to interdict NERSA from regulating Tetra 4 maximum price. That application is still pending, and it's now at the heads of argument and has not yet been argued before the court for a decision. Chair, we believe that therefore that the current maximum price or that maximum price that Tetra 4 was implementing in FY 2022 is invalid, because old methodology, which was reviewed and replaced by the 2020 and now the 2023 methodology. Now, despite the above issues with the Tetra 4, we have assessed the price that is charged to ascertain whether the price that was charged in FY 22 is fair or excessive. And our assessment indicated or revealed that the licensee is currently charging or charged a price that is above the maximum price that was approved in 2016, April 2022 to December 2022. That price is below the JKM price. You will recall methodology which was approved in 2020, FY20. And secondly, our assessment result indicated that the licensee differentiates the price of its customers on the basis of volumes. It did not unduly discriminate between its customers, and therefore it complied with Section 22. We are asking the committee to note the recommendations that Tetra 4 complied with the Section 22 and also approve the recommendations as per recommendation in paragraph 17. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Makota. Just to summarize, you said but it did not comply with Section 20. It did not use the benchmark, the method of calculation. But even if you use the one that is approved, just to compare where the price level is into consideration, also taking into account that there is a court case that NERSA is participating in. All right, members, if then the submission and the explanation is straightforward, I would like to take you straight to the recommendation on paragraph 17. Mr. Bukula, please come in.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to see if we are finding them not to have complied.
Thank you, Mr. Bukula, for the question. Thank you. Ms. Makota, may you please respond if you need a
submit an application and they need to comply with the maximum price that is approved by to respond.
Okay, which one are you asking? The legal advisors here from the division and from
they are quite updated on what is happening. So may I ask that they respond, either LAS or the legal advisor from the division?
Please go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. the background relating to the submission. However, with regard to the matter that is before court, yes, the legal advice is that the license that was issued by NERSA to Tetra 4 has license condition that needed to be complied with, and hence NERSA is defending that matter that is before court, where Tetra 4 has launched an application for a declaratory order, are not subject to they duly applied for a license from NERSA, and they are holding a license that are required to comply with all license conditions like all other licenses. And that matter is still proceeding in court, Chair. Heads of arguments
divulge on a matter that is still before the court. All that okay, thank you. Mr. Pokula is asking, now we are making a finding. You want the committee to make a finding that there is no compliance. What he wants to know, what action are we going to take? Yes, there's a case in the court, but we've got also this specific non-compliance. In terms of the law, what action are we supposed to take? Is it going to be a letter or a notice of non-compliance in terms of Section 26 sub 1 of the Gas Act? Is that the what or the action that we're supposed to take?
That is, Chair, without wasting the committee's time. We need to follow Section 26.
Okay,
thank you.
Thank you very much. It will be a notice of non-compliance as stipulated in Section 26 sub 1 of the Gas Act 1.1. That now that you make the finding, complete that recommendation, because you made this finding. What action? That's what he's trying to emphasize with the question that he posed. Thank you for that, Mr. Pokula, against Tetra 4 in this instance. Members, with that clarification and also by show of hands, members. Thank you, Ms. Mpungose. Thank you, Mr. Mkize, Mr. Pokula, Mr. Gumede, and Advocate Sitole. I also support. Thank you very much, members. Members, we now proceed the fourth quarter construction progress report.
Thank you, Chair. This is the fourth quarter progress report on construction licenses which were issued by the National Energy Regulator of South Africa during the 2022 to 2023 financial year. The Energy Regulator has granted 110 licenses from September 2006 to September 2022 for the construction of the gas facilities around the Gauteng, Free State, Mpumalanga, and KwaZulu-Natal province. Licenses have invested about 3.64 billion rand rated in Anisha A on the report. At the current moment, Chair, the status of completed construction licenses is 98. The list of these completed facilities is highlighted in Anisha A press report from Sasol Gas during the fourth quarter of the 2022 to 2023, namely Sasol Gas license for the construction of a gas transmission facility in the Wadeville area and the Sasol Gas license for the construction of a gas distribution facility in the Olifantsfontein. The details of this construction project are highlighted from paragraph 6.7 to 6.30. In terms of the financial aspects of this project, Chair, the gas infrastructure project cost of the gas transmission facility in the Wadeville area has amounted to 11. Project is 85% complete, and the Olifantsfontein construction project is 83% complete. We therefore note the construction progress report for the fourth quarter of the 2022 to 2023 financial year, and to further note that there were no new construction projects that took place during the fourth quarter of the 2022 to 2023 financial year. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much for that summary. Members, the submission is before you for consideration. Any questions of clarity, guidance? Members, by show of hands? If none, members, I would like to then take you straight. Mr. Pokula, you may go ahead.
Apologies, Chair. I was voting to.
You are voting. Okay, recommendations. Two recommendations, members, just for the record. The committee is requested to note the construction progress report for the fourth quarter of 2022-2023 financial year, and also to note that there are no I also support. Thank you, Mr. Mkhize. Thank you, Advocate Sithole. Thank you, members, for the decision. On the agenda, which is the progress report on the GIS updates regarding the licensed gas infrastructure network. Please take the report as read and highlight even some of the challenges that we have encountered with cause a little bit of setback and the actions and measures that are taken to avoid that. If you can cover those in your introduction. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chairperson, board members and colleagues. The purpose of the report is, as expressed by the Chairperson, it is to give a report 3. The geodatabase on the license infrastructure is in line, has information that is in line with the approved gas license applications and also with the data derived from compliance field inspection. The information is analyzed and then visualized on the ArcGIS dashboard for internal use. It is important to note that these ArcGIS dashboards can only be accessed by authorized NERSA employees through VPN, and also these dashboards are protected by the NERSA firewall that controls the network traffic, and also the server that are hosting the portal itself is protected from the cyber threats by the Caspase that host the ArcGIS portal crashed, which resulted in a loss of information. We had to start from scratch with developing these dashboards, generating replicas of the server on secondary sites, so that in the ICT is working on, and also we have requested the service provider of the software to the updated information in terms of what is the RAM that is required from crashing in future. Okay, so if we dive into the deliberations of the report, you will notice paragraph 6 highlights the 2 construction projects that aims to add new gas facilities on customers on the transmission pipeline and the other on a distribution pipeline. I think further details on this project have been presented by Dr. Morong and the preview on the licensed infrastructure. The reports clearly display the sites that have been inspected thus far, and also highlights the observations of that was given to the petroleum industry as well, which is mapping of the petroleum network. And yeah, without wasting members' time, I will take it as read and request that the committee note the report as recommendations on paragraph 14. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much for highlighting those. Starting off with Ms. Mpungose, please go ahead, ma'am.
Thank you, Chairperson. Now, just one question from me. It's actually a point of clarity on 6.4. which is on page 7 of 16. I just want to make sure the updates on the pipe gas inspection progress, I want to make sure that I read this correctly, because it says that towards the latter part of the paragraph, only 28% of the current active customers had been inspected since the 2018-2019 financial year. However, it further goes to say, as of today, the inspection team has done about 87.5. So am I correct to conclude that, because I think when you read the 2, it's a bit confusing. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Mpongose. Mr. Mkhize.
Not necessarily coming out here clearly. One is around the resources and also the skilling and capacity that goes with this. Also, seen little movement in this, which one would say that they would even go beyond what is within the mandate of NERSA, in the sense that we could even assist the department as currently it is also issuing licensing. I'm not so clear with the issue of capacity, the resources associated with that. And two, plan, because it's not necessarily a typical project that we are dealing with. But to understand and when this will actually function truly as an MIS, a management information test, and see where things down the line we're pushing for certain areas where they should be bidding for infrastructure as opposed to other areas because of congestion or because of a need. Just to look at the spatial, like a distribution of state. I think for me, that is still lacking. So I would like to get a roadmap. Where are we going? Where are we now? And when are we going to? What kind of obstacles are there that we need to surmount? And then on 4.4, that's the specific one. By talking this replication of these servers, whether are we talking of original data or the data that was already said to have been wiped out or lost? I just did not get clarity there. If you can help to explain paragraph 4.4. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mkhize, Ms. Mpungose. May you please respond then to the questions, providing clarification on the numbers and progress that has been made and how the GIS, there's an increase from 28% to 87%. How does this feature in this project or in this GIS updates? And then you go to Mr. Mkhize's issues.
Thank you, ma'am. Just to answer Ms. Pongose, that question, the 28% inspection progress is looking at the overall network and has been inspected from 2018, looking just from 2018-2019 financial year up to this financial year. That is the overall 28% that we refer to now is in line with the 40 customer meter for this financial year. They have reached a target of that 85%. That is not the progress for the whole network. It's just with reference to this year. I don't know if that is clear.
Please assist the members here. Exactly the dashboard as you may have it. You will also look at the areas that you have shown there. Sometimes these figures will confuse members as to what we're looking at overall. You're looking at your transmission lines, your distribution pipelines. Sometimes these customers actualize the number that you are referring to, where you want to put emphasis about this 28% that you are referring to. If you can just clarify it, what you are referring to. Yes, however, clarify whether you're referring just to the CMS customer meter station or other infrastructure insofar as the planned inspections are concerned for this financial year.
Okay, thank you, Chair. So the 28% is the 136 customer meter stations of 406 sites that have been inspected thus far. So those are that doesn't include the inspection of the pipelines. Only the 85% is inspected with reference to 40 that was planned. So of the 40 customer meter stations to be inspected, 35 is already covered. And then the team at the drafting of this report was left with only record of this information.
Reasons, really. And also if there are incidents of, so it's for a number of reasons, really. Can you please get to the other questions?
In terms of resources, so the resources can look into different things. I don't know exactly which one to focus on, but then in terms of software, 2 basic licenses and 1 the PGS Enterprise. Okay. And the PGS Enterprise, we have portal on that one, and then we have almost unlimited viewer users that can be viewers of the dashboard. So, and then in terms of human resources, there's currently one technician. And then if there's any enhancement that needs to be done on the ArcGIS, we do also use the hours, the things that we are trying to achieve is to use it as, like we said, it's an information. These dashboards, we are aiming to have users have access at any given time on using credentials. One thing that was setting us back, like I said, was I was supposed to, for example, for Mr. Mkhize's division, the petroleum division, I was supposed to present, they know how to use the online, or rather the web maps, but then that was set back because we had to start from scratch with the development of the dashboard instead of moving to a phase where we are demonstrating this to users and then they can use this information system on their own. So, okay, let me start by explaining that for ArcGIS, we have 3 servers. 3 server machine. One machine is for hosting ArcGIS portal, the other for hosting the data store. So that is the SDE, the SQL database. So we have 3 servers. So the current situation was that because of these servers, so we didn't have the backup of the servers, so that when we have all the SQL, so should something happen, then we know that we have a copy. So let me just say we have a copy of each server.
We must also limit, we're in the public domain and all of that. So we can deal with it at a separate meeting as well as the REC members and also FITI members at the later stage, in the way that this project is managed within the organization. If we were to implement this properly, those are the things that the organization can decide on, and of the REC, and therefore also go to the sub and perhaps see if we can also talk to the energy recommendations. The recommendations for the committee are that the committee must note, and I think the phases were provided here. This is the second or third report that was provided here. So the committee is requested to note the progress and the status of on the abandonment plan, as well as the petroleum network. Thank you, Mr. Bukula, and thank you, Advocate Stole. On to the status report for the development of new gas sources. Please take the report as read and highlight key developments as well as recommendations as to the implications.
South Africa and neighboring countries for the period of December 2020 called Vopak Terminal as its preferred partner to jointly bid for the appointment of a terminal operator for the LNG terminal in the port of Richards Bay. The 2 parties are currently concluding the joint development act. According to the bid information, issued a request for proposal inviting interested parties to submit conceptual partnerships to support PetroSL in Block 3 and 4A and Block 9 and 11A. On another related development, Chair, Total Energies has applied for the environmental authorization to develop its offshore gas discovery 11 and 12B of its Brulpada field. The development has the potential, the revival of PetroSA's Mossel Bay gas to liquid plant with the capacity of 45,000 barrels per day. Kapowership's environmental authorization application for Saldanha Bay, Kruger Harbour, and Port taken by events. As we know now that the Department of Forestry, Fisheries and Environment did not grant environmental authorization for all 3 Kapowership applications. The company that it plans to resubmit all 3 applications as soon as possible. Outside of our borders, Chair, the report covers recent development in Mozambique, where despite constant battles with Islamic insurgents across the November last year, ENI made its first shipment of LNG from Coral gas field project in Mozambique. There are also speculation that Total Energies could soon announce plans to resume work on its stalled 20 billion LNG project. You remember, Chair, that Total Energies declared the force majeure on the development over 2 years ago. Finally, Chair, the report covers development in Namibia, where several have been made, including the 2 recent discoveries in the Orange Basin by Shell and Total Energy. One of Namibia's most prominent assets is the Kudu conventional gas field, which is expected to begin commercial production in 2024. The field, which comprises nearly 600 billion, is expected to reach a peak production of 64 million cubic feet per day once it starts operation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for the summary, how they will tie up with the developments and infrastructure, especially also the Orange Basin, the northern. All right, okay.
Chairperson, just a couple of questions and comments. The first one for me, Chair, for me, the question is, we know who people that are driving the environment, championing gas, and is it a role that honestly NERSA should be playing, the pipe gas division places? So that is the first question. Who is driving this development? Who is the champion? And then I had a couple of comments, Chairperson, on page. It's changed ownership many times. I would request that Colin, for instance, when we put a statement that is expected, of why it hasn't happened, and also the question that I've asked there is that from the team's point of view, that it is going to be possible for Namibia to develop that particular resource market, and especially market. Secondly, on same page, paragraph O, I think it would be useful also to get commentary on the when say aims to produce hydrogen as the building block for the downstream industry. All of the issues that are mentioned there. I think domain about that ammonia production, coming out, and then all of the other issues that are raised there, and the reasons for it. Now, I think linked to my first question on page 13, I think it's 9E. I think for me, I think the fundamental question that I was asking there, linked to that issue, I think against around the champion and the ambassador for gas, I really think that it is possible for all of those resources, for all of the things that needs to be done to this gas thing. That will this ever happen with the current regulatory, legal, environmental, and political uncertainties? Thanks, Chief.
Thank you, Mr. Gumede. Mr. Mkhize.
Important, and to me, it's a part of the substance that we should be having when we embark on regulatory advocacy, because ours is close by to the like that. Then it is whether it's already spoken to that particular resource. So I would appreciate if we can maybe take these kind of reports a step further, that we should be making recommendations as to how South Africa then could possibly each of these to note maybe possible constraints or challenges in the regulatory and policy environments that could be stifling departments and other related stakeholders. So for me, that would be more helpful and useful in taking this forward. The report and the understanding that it remains a dynamic report. For example, the issue of the gas in Namibia has been long there. There's a commission close meeting around
for your inputs. The team, if you could kindly provide just responses and clarifications are not questions you will be able to answer here and now. I think they will need interventions from the policy. Mr. Milatu, can you please take responsibility here? Mr. Mtian.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Chair. I think of guidance and advice on that one for our report in future. But what is important there, he's saying that we can use this as a regulatory. His question, it was on okay, that's what has happened in the past and is linked to, is it possible for the Namibians to develop that looking at the resources that they are having. Chair, it's a very difficult question to come up with an answer now, but yes, it's true. The resource, they've not been able to develop them for enough. I'll make an example with Mozambique. The resource has around early 2000 because the political and social conditions were conducive. Then they were able to do that. Yes, it's facings, but there has been some technical, environmental, regulatory and legislative issues that become
the issues now, and what you can do from the regulatory advocacy perspective, like we have done before with the guest. It is something that you may want to undertake as an inquiry or through a guest. We had heard it before, just from the regulatory side, and it would be fair if then is taken from that viewpoint, without delving much on what you believe could or may have been the reason.
Then the last one, I think, is on the ammonia reduction. On this one, I don't know, maybe Mr. Mtiane can you.
Mr. Mtiane.
Chair, sorry, Chair, I didn't get the question on the ammonia, but I just want to add on the other response that you and Mr. Milatu have also responded to, in terms of development of Mozambique developing these resources with their small market. That we just learned recently is that there's a delegate that has gone in terms of seeking partnership. We know Qatar has a very huge gas market, and their experience in extracting gas. The plan is to partner with Qatar, and maybe some of these can be shipped to this committee. Thanks, Chair.
All right, thank you very much, members. Mr. Kumete, I think some of the questions, we may also just take them outside of the meeting, as I think some of them in terms of the who champion that we are the regulator, and maybe through some regulatory advocacy, because we take cue from this, something that we want to advocacy, just to show the strategic importance and how the South African market can benefit from such resources if they were to be monetized and developed, and also show some regulatory measures that could support such possible investments into the South African market. I think that could be the way in we could look into those. If you agree, and then it's something that we can talk about even during our strategic sessions on that. So with that, members, then I would like to then take you straight to the recommendations, to the noting of the report, with all of the input from the members. The noting. Members, we now move on straight to the. Please take the report as read. Go straight to the strategic purpose and the importance of this, and the key highlights on the codes and standards that are introduced. In that order, please.
Thank you, Chair. This report is a continuation of the second phase of the project on the review standard applicable for the construction. For the safe and efficient construction, operation, and maintenance of which kicked off in the previous financial year of 2021-2022. At that time, there were only 10 LNG facilities belonging to 3 licensees which were licensed, and now during this current financial year, there are 7 LNG facilities belonging to 2 licensees that have been licensed. The review focuses on these newly licensed LNG facilities, which are listed in Table 1 on page 7 to 6 of the discussion document, of the attached discussion document, belonging to LNG hub at Pinetown area in KZN. The findings from the review indicated that an power ship and LNG hub and standard were relevant to the licensed activity. The reason for some due to they were not applicable to construction of Powership SA LNG storage and regasification, since Powership SA will be using a floating storage and regasification unit built in Japan, and therefore there won't be any LNG storage and regasification built on land. During the consultation with the licensees regarding findings report on the review of applicable codes and standards for the safe and efficient construction of things, and then NESA also will consult with SABS on the ability.
Any areas of input, Mr. Komede?
Thanks, Chairperson. Just the regulator having the responsibility and accountability for the codes and standards. Maybe in terms of the Gas Act, I know in terms of the conditions, but I'm talking about that are used in the gas and the pipe gas industry. That's the first question. The second question, Chair, is in the electricity sector, we have the GCAC and the NRS associations and things like that assist us to deal as advisory bodies and under Section 5 of that. We properly capacitated ourselves, especially as the regulator, to be able to manage the risks that might be that might accrue to the regulator in terms of the non-compliance of those, even the actual development of those standards. So if I could be assisted with that, thanks, Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Komede. Mr. Mkhize?
Thanks, Chairperson. I would just like to understand, are these codes, like if I go to Table 2, are they inappropriate, or would rather say they are not applicable, such that even complying with them, and also the understanding that the additional codes that we're talking about, they are included included therein. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mkhize. Advocate Stolle?
License conditions that we issue as a regulator. But again, there's an implication in the submission that seems to say that the licensee then compliance with the codes and standard, and we are the ones who are supposed to be doing the monitoring and compiling the report, other than us receiving the reports from the licensee, as it's sort of implied in the submission. Unless if, Chair, I'm reading it incorrectly, I will appreciate it if I can be given clarity on that point. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Please respond, Mr. Milatu, please, straight to the point, and Mr. Sekhupholo, if you can respond directly to the questions. Mr. Milatu?
Yeah, okay, Chair. Let me start with the last question by Advocate Stoll. In terms of meaning that in terms of the standards, they are supposed to. Does the Act talks about standards? Is it our responsibility to do that? So the Act says that facilities must be maintained in fully operative, meaning that for the acceptable standards in the industry. So that is why we have this project wherein licenses, when they apply, they submit standards upon which they are going to construct or operate their facility. And over and above that, this project is meant now to check, because it is also within the energy regulators, the standards the license conditions. This is why now we have this as they need to adhere to. Now the other question about the and advisory bodies, we do not have if we can go to that route of having advisory services and look at codes for the gas industry, Chair. Yeah, I think I'll pause there, Chair. Thank you.
Some of these questions, there may not be direct responses, but I think is to be very much clear about the mandate that we have. We need an external assistance, then that must be considered. So I think it's mainly around. So also the other question is about compliance. When you talk about codes, it must be codes that are imposed in compliance with other industry codes set by other regulatory bodies. But to the extent that those codes are adopted by us because they are important, then they must be part of the license conditions. So that you can monitor the compliance with license conditions. Those are the key 4 things that members are saying here. So with that, members, I would like to then take you to the recommendations made by the team with the recognition of the 4 points that you have made for the team to take into consideration and NERSA to consult with licensees and other regulatory bodies responsible for safety, including SAPS as indicated. And that is the last recommendation that is here. And also just efficiency and applicability of. Thank you, Ms. Mbungos, most of them for noting. I'm moving on to the compliance with the maximum price at regulations. Please take them as read. Only.
Sorry, Chair,
by 2 annexures, but for some reason they did not make it to the pack. Chair, this is the progress report on Sasol gas compliance with regulation. Chair, in terms of the regulation I just quoted, Sasol gas is required to do 2 things: to inform each individual customer meets the qualifiers as set out in the regulation, and 2, to annually furnish NERSA with the names and the physical address of all customers that have met the qualifying threshold and or requirement of the eligible customer during that financial year. This information must be furnished to NERSA within 3 months of the end of the licensee's financial year, which in this case is June. On 28 September 2022, Sasol Gas notified NERSA to a letter where Sasol Gas was complying with condition 17 of their trading license concerning eligible customers. In addition to the letter, Sasol Gas included documentary evidence of the notices it sent out to each of their qualifying status. There were 2 customers who qualified as eligible customers in the reporting period. The list of customers who qualified is in paragraph 6.4. The team was able to confirm with both customers if they indeed received notification letters and eligible customer. In view of that, Chair, Sasol Gas have complied with Sasol Gas with pipe gas regulations and conditions of its trading license concerning eligible customers, and we therefore request that this committee notes the progress.
Thank you. That's the complaints. All right, members, any input, guidance on the decision? By show of hands, members, if you have any. If none, members, I would like to take you straight to the recommendation in terms of the volumes threshold for the benefit of customers. As it is indicated that Sasol Gas has complied, the committee is now requested to note the progress report on Sasol Gas's compliance with the pipe gas regulations and the Gas Act provisions for customers that are eligible to buy gas not from distribution but from transmission to cut down the distribution cost because of the volume threshold. That's the essence of it. Members, if you're happy with that regard. A show of hands, members. Thank you, Ms. Mbongose. Thank you, Mr. Gumede. Thank you, Mr. Bukula. I also support. Thank you, Mr. Mkize. Advocate Zitole. Thank you very much, members. Members, I step down from this item. I go straight to the next report for consideration, which is the monitoring. It comply or not? Please, can you take just 1 minute? Take the report as read. and go straight to where they indicate to members what sections of the report talk to that.
Thank you, Chairperson. This is a report for Egoli Gas monitoring of the approved maximum price, July 2021 to 30 June 2022. We are monitoring an approved price that was approved on 31st of March 2021. We are monitoring Section 21(1)(p), which Egoli Gas has complied with because it charged prices that are within the range of the approved price. We are also monitoring Section 22. Egoli Gas is using volume price differentiating features. So as it has taken over the customers from its sister companies, so it has retained the pricing structure and all of that. So it has also complied with the price. All the customers that are like, and I will not mention the name, sorry. So the customers, if for example you are looking at volume price, you'll see that maybe some have a higher volumes, and all those are the customers that they have acquired during the year. Thank you, Chairperson. I would like to repeat
the recommendation or any question of clarity on this report. If none, members, I'm on paragraph 14 for the recommendations. The subcommittee is requested to take a decision to note that Egoli Gas complied with Section 21(1)(p) because it did not charge prices that are above the maximum for the period stated. And then secondly, it is requested that the committee note that Egoli Gas also complied with Section 22 of the Gas Act because it did not implement any discriminatory prices that is prohibited in terms of the Act. By show of hands, members, if you agree with that decision. The report on stakeholder engagements and workshops that were conducted during the financial year 2022, April until March 2023. Take the report as read, highlight.
This is a stakeholder of March. We are also engaging in workshops on the market, which are not included in this report, and they will be updated into the report at the end of the Chair, we have taken the report as read. Thank you.
Thank you very much, members. Any comments on the report for the engagements with stakeholders, members, and the issues that were discussed? Any? If members are happy with the content and there are no questions of for the next report, I would like to take members to paragraph 13. By show of hands. Thank you, Mr. Mkhize, Mr. Pumete.
Chair, I'm happy to note, but I just sorry that the delay in raising my hand around the issues of stakeholders. Communities around which these pipelines traverse, just to just to speak on gas per se. But I think municipalities have got also a role to play, particularly when it comes to bylaws, as that tends to be always the Achilles heels in dealing with matters. So I would just ask that the team does consider looking at those also important to engage with. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mkhize. I take the point on the role of municipalities, perhaps just to quote in the process. And in what you're trying to achieve. But when it comes to some of the gas pipelines, they traverse through industrial areas, and you'll find that there are factories, particularly in Durban, for instance, areas of Wadeville, Boksburg, and all of that. And that is not to say that there may not be a portion of the pipeline that may be closer to the residential areas. I just want to understand the context there, and perhaps in what way maybe that we can include it here as part of the recommendation, Mr. Mkhize, so that I cover that aspect as well. For the municipalities, I'm quite fine.
I think it's for them to. I was just saying that in the sense that sometimes people could be kept in the dark. Like you've got a line traversing your area, but you've got no way to benefit from it in whatsoever manner. And just to look at that, they need to be informed. What I'm saying is that there is a need to look at that. And also generally, that should be juxtaposed. And therefore, we need to look broadly and see the direction that the country is taking and see how then we can be able to deal with any risks that are developing that are reported. Sometimes we're seen as not playing our role when actually we do play our role. And therefore, it's important for us to read the recommendations. The team is recommending that the role of municipalities in terms of cooperating in trying to make sure that there's protection of these pipelines, and I think also the marking of the pipelines, because sometimes that is also missing. The team will only explore how communities could also be useful in this regard. Mr. Pugula, thank you very much for your support, Advocate Stole, and I also support. And Ms. Mpongose, are you happy also to support this? Thank you, Ms. Mpongose.
I am happy, Chair.
All right, thank you very much. All right, it's on the South African side.
Okay, thank you, Chair. Chair, during the 2022-23 financial year, conducted metering audits and inspection on Ronco pipeline from the 8th to the 15th September in Mozambique and the 16th to the 20th January in South Africa side of the border. Main findings were made, and they were in relation to the pressure and temperature calibration procedure that were not updated in accordance to NESA's recommendation made in 2021-2022 financial year, as well as the pending unaccredited meter. Licensee indicated that it will update NESA with SEPI in rectifying the non-compliance findings made during metering audits in Mozambique. And then INP indicated that it has any response from the licensee, and then it is still following up on the matter and will let NESA know. We therefore recommend that the PGS know the report on the ROMCO metering and inspection conducted in South African site, as well as note the observation, findings, and recommendation and also know that the team will follow up on the outstanding findings made during audit and inspection. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, members. Any guidance? I'd like to take you straight then to the recommendations. The recommendations are that the subcommittee is requested to note the compliance report for the metering that were conducted during November 2021 by the licensee in rectifying the previous compliance findings and to note issues. Members, we then go straight to the industry. Please take the report as read, Ms. du Plessis, and go straight to the key highlights.
Thank you very much, Chairperson, members and colleagues. Chair, the purpose of this report is to identify key developments in the gas since NERSA's 2022 determination of the inadequacy of competition in the relevant gas markets, impact on NERSA's definition of the relevant gas markets and the degree of competition within those markets. Chairperson, as indicated in the assessment, none of the developments that we have identified have had a significant impact foreseeable future, although it should be noted that some of the third-party traders have grown their market shares in certain market segments over the last few years, such that one of them is now considered to be irrefutably done to connect their customers to the transmission network. Chair, the report then also goes on to identify some measures that may assist in addressing these barriers. The first is undertaking an inquiry on competition and stimulate investments in the gas industry, initiating of an industry-wide inquiry in order to investigate the impact of the 2023 methodology, once fully implemented, be monitored to assess its impact on competition in the gas industry in practice. Chair, we therefore request the PGS to note the report on the annual review of the impact of developments on competition in the gas industry. Thank you.
Ms. du Plessis, members, the report is before you. Questions or guidance for this exercise going forward? All right, members, if there are no questions, I would like to take you straight to the recommendations on paragraph 15 to request a note the report on the annual review of the contained in Annexure A that is attached here. By show of hands, members, if you support. Thank you, Mr. Mkhize. Thank you, Mr. Pukula, Mr. Gumede, Ms. Mpongose, Advocate Sithole. Thank you, members. I also support the noting. Members, we're now on the implementation, on the on the monitoring of SLG's compliance with the approved maximum prices. Please take it as read, noting that we are going to lose about 2 members of the subcommittee at 4 o'clock. Please go straight to the issues.
The report, a monitoring report.
Just hold on.
Because I've got another meeting that starts just now.
All right. You are
excused. July 2021 to June 2022. Because the charge of prices that are approved by NERSA also complied with Section 22 of the Gas Act. We'd like to request the committee to know.
By show of hands, members, if you have any. If none, members, I would then like to take you straight to the recommendation. The recommendation is that the subcommittee is requested to note that SLG Section 22 of the Gas Act, as it did not discriminate against its customers. By show of hands, members, if you support that. Thank you, Mr. Gumede, Ms. Mbungu. I support. Thank you, Mr. Mkhize, for your support of the submission. All right. Can we then, the implementation of the methodology to approve maximum prices, take the matter as read?
The purpose of the report is for the PGS to note the implementation plan of the methodology to approve the maximum prices of gas in South Africa. On the 21st, approved the cost plus methodology itself, and it considered obviously the need to implement the ER decision. Also, the action plans from an approach perspective, current regulatory gap that is currently existing. The plan also takes into consideration of accelerating the plan and also the mitigation thereof. These are in from 7.2 to 7.9. We are the recommend
report. Members, the report is before you for a decision. If you have, all right, to note the implementation plan for the methodology to approve maximum prices of gas as contained in Annexure A of this submission. By show of hands, are you in support of the recommendation?
I suspect the advocate could be on load shedding.
Oh, okay. Mr. Mkhize, are you happy to support? Thank you, Mr. Mkhize. Already? I do support, but I think then if Advocate Sithole, we need, because we are thin on the issue of.
Thank you, ma'am. I just spoke to the advocate. She just started her load shedding, so she's trying to connect back, ma'am.
Oh, okay. All right. Members, can we just give her maybe 1 or 2 minutes for her to connect back, as we can't move now without her. Thank you, Ms. Mpongose. For Mr. Mkhize?
I just wanted to check the quarterly reports will actually be starting in the first quarter of the next financial year.
The fourth quarter. The fourth quarter is what is January to March.
No, I'm just checking that it means that the quarterly reports that are going to be submitted will be from June, end of June. Right, to be sure.
Mr. Milatu, you've got your hand up.
Yes, Chair. I think we've realized that you have skipped item 18, the fourth quarter.
Okay. Mr. Mr. Sithole? Okay, thank you. We apologize for the slight delay to the members of the public that are following this meeting. One of the members is encountering some challenges with load shedding. All right, thank you, Ms. Sithole. Meeting, and we understand that the load shedding was implemented, hence that interruption in terms of your connection. Thank you very much. We're at the stage of decision making on item number SLG with the maximum price. Was it the one? Yes. But the implementation, Mr. Sithole, are you in support? Are you in support, Mr. Sithole? Thank you very much.
Yes, Chair. Sorry, just sorting myself out. Yes, I do support, Chair. Thanks.
Thank you very much. All the members have supported that item, and we are now looking at that deals with fourth quarter report on compliance with license conditions for distribution licenses. Please take the report as read and summarize, please.
Conducted in 2022-2023 financial year quarters, that is in table 2 on page 21, were inspected in the quarters of 2022-2023 financial year. There were a total of 13 instances of finding made, and licensee rectified 77 findings, and they are given up until the end of March 2023. The team had a follow-up inspection on the investigated gas leakage that occurred in the previous financial year, 3 from page 32 to 34. And then it should be noted and trenches. As a result, NERSA ordered licensees to submit records, logs, maintenance performed on the repaired pipes. Licensee requested more time to gather the relevant date and in the current financial year by 10%. This was due to the additional LNG facilities, registered operation of gas production and LNG importation that needed NERSA's immediate attention. The follow-up indicated that licensee did in fact address all the non-compliance concerns, and then there is an improvement of 2% in NERSA's enforcement activities as well as compliance by like 17.1.182K on page 37 to page 88. Also note that thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, members. The report is before you, and thank you for the comprehensive introduction of this report. Members, any clarity on the findings and recommendations? Mr. Mkhize?
Thanks, Chairperson. I think damages to pipelines and then with the resultant gas leaks, it's something that I think should be flagged, and that we bring other stakeholders. We bring this into the attention of other stakeholders. For me, it's very important, and I think I've always tried to emphasize the need with other stakeholders, and such should come out very clear here. What attempts we have made, and how have they responded? Because we played our role, we have tried to also bring other stakeholders in. We can't deal necessarily comprehensively with matters of safety and security. There are people that are mandated and structures mandated to do that. And therefore, they need to weigh in and to that voice from our side. Because this is very concerning. Until we've got an incident that is really shattering, I don't know whether we because somehow I think that as a country we also tend to deal more with crisis than actually with challenges. Thank you. This is just a comment and a concern that I'm raising on my side, and the importance for us to see it addressed comprehensively. Thank you.
Before I go to the members, for members to note, can you please respond just to one thing that Mr. Mkhize mentioned regarding collaboration? Given that
one, Chair, we are working on it, Chair. We've even tried on some other parties, of which the report will bring in the upcoming PGS, where we'll be outlining the future role of all.
In this time, they have involved other those other parties. I think it's something that needs to be noted, and members to look forward then to the report that is coming in the next PGS meeting. With that, members, are members happy to note all of the recommendations by Mr. Sekgobolo? The research report on price discovery and market integration in global natural gas markets. Please take the report as read and then do all of the highlights and indicate the strategic purpose.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The purpose of this research report is to pipe gas subcommittee to note the research that we have undertaken on price discovery and market integration in global natural gas markets. That is here to attached is Annexure A. This global price discovery in the natural gas market with a view to understand trends in gas price formation and their implications to the South African market. This is in research within the content from other secondary sources such as AfriForesight. Madam Chair, we have noted that we are still aligned in terms of price formation to key global various developments that have wrecked the global market, from geopolitical issues to planned interventions in price formation, with very important developments that have failure even in circumstances where there has been, a traditional belief that the market driven. Madam Chair, we'll take the report as read and zoom into the findings that we believe are of importance. We also found that global gas price formation is still driven more by market related mechanisms than regulated dispensations. We also discovered is associated with regions that are still championed by regulated dispensations than market-driven mechanisms. Madam Chair, we also lastly discover that our Madam Chair, on the eve of the introduction of a cost-based pricing, making a gas pricing trajectory from a cost-based regime. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much for that introduction and the location of the relevance of the report to the work that we do. Thank you so much. All right, members, the report is before you. Any comments and for any future reports of this nature to just assist the committee and guide the committee in the work that we do, particularly on pricing and monitor what is happening in other markets?
Frozen the screen here, but I'm looking at the findings as well as in that it will then assist us to get and going forward. This is going to unfold in terms of and work thereon. It would have been nice had this actually been done well ahead of the review of the maximum price, because then it will form part of what informs that price. And then if we can be able to deal with that also more, like do a lot of background work, that would also help to inform any other review afterwards, that we will have something that has already had a lot of just want to a reflection from Mr. Motsao concerning this one. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mkhize, for that. Mr. Motsao?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you very much, Mr. Mkhize, for the comments. Indeed, we appreciate and acknowledge that the evidence presented in this report is anecdotal, as further research to be conducted. Indeed, we do concur with that observation, Mr. Mkhize, is taking, sort of research exercises called for, as we from time to time reflect on the pointers that may need to be checked by the energy regulator on a more regular basis in terms of what could be driving global price formation and what is it that could also be affecting the South African gas price. Concur with your observation, and we consider that probably a recommendation can be put forward that if we are to review the regulator on issues of concern and issues that could be affecting the gas pricing strategy. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Members, it will be then for the purpose of the committee just to provide guidance for this, compare with those pricing approaches in other countries, just to see in terms of the benchmark and comparisons of the outcomes, but also just include other developments so that it can inform the committee done as we monitor going forward. If the members as well. Mr. Mkhize, is this a follow-up, or are we getting to the...
Yes, ma'am. I was just saying that, in fact, in line with what you have said, if we can have a quarterly report that on further research.
On price discovery, market integration, and price convergence in global natural market gas markets. And also the committee notes that a follow-up research report on these issues will be brought detailed price comparisons on the gas market. Those are the two recommendations. By show of hands, members, if you are in support of the open following these discussions, who remained sort of silent and not disrupting the proceedings. Thank you for your time. We now are going to switch off on the live streaming, so as part of this meeting. Thank you very much. Mr. Mateja, if you can inform us.